The office of Stellar Solutions was perched on the 25th floor of a gleaming skyscraper in the center of the city. With its open floor plan, wide windows offering panoramic views, and sleek modern furniture, it looked every bit the high-powered workplace it was. But while its exterior reflected ambition and efficiency, within its walls lay a microcosm of personalities, dreams, and dramas that made the office more than just a place to work. Across the room sat David, the resident creative genius and a walking paradox. With his messy desk, mismatched socks, and always slightly wrinkled clothes, David was constantly in a whirlwind of ideas. His mind seemed to operate at a different frequency, buzzing with designs, graphics, and slogans. Despite his chaotic appearance, he was the one everyone turned to when a project needed that spark of creativity to set it apart. David and Sarah were opposites, often clashing over timelines and organization, yet they held a deep respect for each other's skills. In the finance corner was Mr. Lee, a quiet, reserved man in his 50s. He'd been with Stellar Solutions since its early days, back when the company was just a small startup in a cramped room downtown. With his careful calculations and steady demeanor, Mr. Lee was the keeper of the company's fiscal health. Younger colleagues often saw him as stern and unapproachable, but those who worked with him closely knew he had a dry sense of humor and a soft spot for mentoring new employees. Then there was Emily, the newest addition to the team. Fresh out of university and eager to prove herself, Emily had joined as a marketing assistant. With her wide-eyed enthusiasm and willingness to take on any task, she quickly became popular in the office. Emily admired Sarah's professionalism, was in awe of David's creativity, and was terrified of Mr. Lee's scrutiny. She was still learning the ropes, often making small mistakes and fumbling through her tasks, but her positive attitude made her a welcome addition to the team. The office wasn't all work and no play. Every Friday, the employees would gather in the break room for a small celebration of the week's successes and a bit of unwinding. Sarah would bring her homemade cookies, David would try out his latest playlist, and Mr. Lee would surprise everyone with his choice of quirky trivia games. It was during these moments that the team felt like a family, a group of people who not only worked together but shared a genuine camaraderie. One particular week, however, would put their bond to the test. It started with an urgent call from the CEO. A major client, whose account represented a significant portion of Stellar Solutions' revenue, had requested a complete rebranding. The deadline was tight, 2 weeks to create a campaign that would usually take months. Sarah was immediately on high alert, sensing the pressure of an impending deadline. She gathered the team for a meeting, her voice calm but firm. "This is an all-hands-on-deck situation," she announced, looking around the room. "We'll need everyone's commitment to pull this off." David was already scribbling ideas on a whiteboard, his mind racing through possibilities. Mr. Lee, concerned about the budget, began calculating the resources they would need to stay within financial limits. Emily, though intimidated, offered to take on extra tasks, eager to contribute in any way she could. Over the next days, the office transformed into a hub of intense focus and collaboration. Sarah created a detailed timeline, breaking down each step of the project and assigning tasks with her usual precision. David poured his energy into creating designs and concepts, working late into the night to perfect every detail. Mr. Lee coordinated with suppliers and kept the financial aspects in check, while Emily supported each department, from organizing meetings to preparing presentations. As the days passed, tensions began to rise. Sarah, exhausted from managing every detail, became irritable, snapping at minor mistakes. David, overwhelmed by the need to balance creativity with deadlines, grew frustrated with Sarah's insistence on sticking to the plan. Emily, feeling the pressure and anxious to prove herself, made a few missteps that only added to the stress. Mr. Lee, typically unflappable, found himself struggling to keep the budget intact under the demands of the project. One evening, as the deadline loomed closer, an argument erupted between Sarah and David. Sarah had rejected one of David's designs, insisting it didn't align with the client's vision. David, exhausted and feeling stifled, pushed back. "You're so focused on sticking to the plan that you're killing creativity," he said, his voice tense. "And you're so focused on creativity that you forget we have a deadline," Sarah retorted, her frustration boiling over. Emily, watching from her desk, felt a pang of anxiety. She looked over at Mr. Lee, who sighed and walked over to the feuding coworkers. "Enough," he said firmly, his calm voice cutting through the tension. "We're a team, and we all have the same goal. This isn't about who's right or wrong. It's about doing our best for the client and for each other." His words seemed to diffuse the situation. Sarah took a deep breath, nodding slowly, while David ran a hand through his hair, offering a reluctant apology. With Mr. Lee's steadying influence, the team refocused on the task at hand, determined to finish what they had started. On the night before the deadline, the team gathered for one final review. The campaign was polished, every detail meticulously checked and double-checked. Sarah's organization had ensured that they stayed on track. David's creativity had brought the concept to life. Mr. Lee's budgeting had kept them within financial limits, and Emily's support had tied everything together. As they looked at the completed project, a sense of accomplishment washed over them. The next day, the presentation went smoothly, and the client was thrilled with the result. Stellar Solutions had pulled off the impossible, and the project was a resounding success. Back at the office, the team celebrated with laughter and relief, each member appreciating the other's unique contributions. From that day on, the office felt a little different. The challenges they had faced had strengthened their bond, creating a deeper understanding and respect for one another. Sarah learned to be more open to David's ideas, allowing for flexibility within her structure. David gained a newfound respect for Sarah's planning, realizing it allowed his creativity to shine within the project's boundaries. Mr. Lee continued to be the steady hand, but he became a bit more open, sharing his thoughts and experiences with the younger team members. And Emily, no longer the nervous newcomer, felt like a true part of the team, confident in her abilities and grateful for the mentorship